Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. The topic today is going to be fatherless children. Why am I speaking about fatherless children today? Because it takes both parents to raise children optimally. As you know, I've raised my kids by myself for the last 12 years, but I see how they miss out on nurturing and maybe some compassion and empathy that they would get from their mother that they don't get from me as their father. Am I capable of that? Of course I am. But let me give you an example. Okay, my kids, let's say two of the boys are fighting downstairs, and the little one gets the worst of the deal, and he comes up here crying. A mother is going to pick that kid up and give him a hug and say, "It's all right, honey." But a father, like myself, would say, "Okay, what were you doing?" "I wasn't doing nothing." But I know he had a part to play in it, and I want him to see his part in it so he can take responsibility for what happened. But a mother's not so much like that, because women do not accept accountability and responsibility the same way a man does. Now, I know there are exceptions. I'm not talking about every woman. I'm talking about in general, most women. So they're more into the nurturing and wanting to make things okay to mend the relationships. I'm wanting to see the child take responsibility and not be a victim in life, so he can see how he played a part in it and in the future maybe avoid these situations. Neither is right or wrong, and we need both. Now, I can be compassionate, empathetic and understanding, and I've done it in those situations, but it's really foreign and hard for me to do. I can make a logical choice to do it. It's probably not as genuine as it is when the mother does it, because she actually feels it, and for me it's more mechanical. Of course, some of my haters would say, "Oh, well, you need to be more in touch with your feelings." No, I know the feelings. I know how it feels, but it's just not inherent in men to be that way. And if you are being that way and you're a man, you're more in your feminine. And that's fine if that's what you want to be. I prefer my boys to be raised as masculine men, so they can handle tough situations in life. So when they have a family, they can lead the family, make the tough decisions, do what needs to be done, protect the family. Of course, nowadays, people think when I talk like that, I've been accused of, "Oh, that's 13th century thinking." Well, you think it is. You think it is because you live in such a coddled society, and nothing ever happens, and you're in one of these neighborhoods where the yards are all perfect and the police come by maybe every 2 hours. If you call them, they're there within a few minutes. Nothing ever happens in your neighborhood. Dangerous. If it does, it's just extremely rare, and it's a shock. But all neighborhoods aren't like that. I live in a fair neighborhood in a nice small community, and we have a park right next door, and there's been a robbery over there and a couple of other things. And I'm not in a bad, dangerous town. These things happen. We have some drug users that live in a trailer park that's quite a ways away from here, but they walk through my property, get to a store. As I've said before, they don't bother me, but they're not really, how do I say it? They're people who need help, sick individuals who are addicted to drugs, and sometimes they need their drugs and they'll take things. Now, they've never stolen from me, they've never bothered us, but I know that that's a possibility. If I want to avoid that, I would have to move to a neighborhood where the grass is all perfect in everybody's yard, and the police drive by every couple hours, and if you call them, they'll be there within a few minutes, or maybe even a matter of seconds, because they're in the neighborhood. But 80% of the world is not like that. And when I speak and people that live in those certain areas hear me, they think that I'm like being crude and toxically masculine when I talk about actually having to protect your own home. But these things occur. And maybe you'll never have to Maybe you'll never have to run into that if you live in one of those neighborhoods. But I like to be prepared in case anything like that happens, because you're not always going to be in your neighborhood. You're going to be out, maybe in the city here and there. And I like to know when I'm walking down the street by myself or with my family, should something occur, I have the physical ability to protect myself. I'm not talking about promoting violence. I'm talking about promoting self-defense. And as a man, it gives you a feeling of security and confidence you get in no other way. And so back to the original topic, when a child grows up, whether it's a boy or a girl, grows up in a home without a father, they have a feeling of insecurity because they've been living without protection. They need that. They need to know that they're safe in their own home. And many people, as I said, 80% of the world doesn't live in a neighborhood where it's really protected by the police. So if they don't have a strong masculine role model there, I mean, I can think of my ex-girlfriend. She grew up in a dangerous neighborhood situation in a third world country. And I can see how it has affected her. Her father was gone. She was with her mother. So if you don't have a masculine role model to pass on these traits to the boys, they grow up feeling insecure. They don't know how to act out in the world among men. I see it here. My son's friends come over. Many of them don't know how to shake a man's hand and look him in the eye. If some young boy comes over and wants to date my daughter, she's 16, he has to meet me first, shake my hand, and I ask him certain questions, such as this. If you're out with my daughter and someone gets up in her face and starts talking badly to her, what are you going to do? Only one of them said that he would protect her physically if needed to be. So who am I going to trust my daughter with? The one who says that he will protect her and defend her if needed, and I believe him if he says it. So that makes a lot of difference. And if you don't have a father in the house, the mother is usually more overprotected than the father is. But sometimes the father is much too liberal. So once again, when you have these two together, it balances out. It's like the yin and the yang. It's polarity. So we have a lot of men growing up with single mothers being in a feminine state of mind instead of the masculine state of mind. And we have the women wondering where all the real men are. Well, the men are being raised by women and they don't have a role model. A woman cannot transmit masculinity. As I said, it's possible there are some out there that can, but that is the outlier. But in general, they can't transmit what they haven't got. Now, sometimes it's just as bad as if you have a father in the house who we used to call henpeck, or he's not the leader of the home. The mother runs the show. The mother makes all the rules. So the boy grows up believing he has to supplicate to women all his life. And no woman likes a man who supplicates or seeks her approval. But the sad truth is, if you grow up in a single mother home and then you go to school because 99% of the teachers are women, you are seeking a woman's approval for the first 7 years of your life, which is the impression period, the formidable years, and then until you're 18 or 21, if you decide to go to college, still most teachers are female. So you grow up believing you have to supplicate to women's approval. And actually in school you do, because if you don't, sometimes the grades don't matter. They can make it very hard on you. A lot of times the grades they give you are contingent on how they feel about you, not so much what kind of work you do. So you're programmed to believe you have to seek a woman's approval. And women don't like a man who seeks their approval. To date, anyway. They're not attracted to men like that. They're attracted to a man who seeks his own approval, who's centered in himself or his God, and has a mission, a purpose, a vision. And if a young child grows up in a home without a father and he doesn't have a male role model like his father or an uncle or somebody to guide him in life, how can you expect him to become a man? And nowadays, we have this, confusion about what a man and a woman is. I mean, I think look it up in the dictionary. We have definitions for these words that some people are trying to change to mean something else, such as gender, what's a man, what's a woman. It's been clearly defined for thousands of years, and I don't know what the issue is there. If you want to identify as something else, I have no problem with that. Just don't expect me to change my language for you. I didn't expect anyone to change their language for me when I was a hippie, and I was different from everybody else back in the 70s. I got bullied, I got picked on. That's part of life. Is it right? I don't know. Is it wrong? Well, it depends which way you're looking at it from. I think it helped me become a better man. It definitely made me persevere, have tenacity and discipline. because I was able to get through hard times. I was able to get through school when I got bullied on quite a bit. And I also learned that you have to stand up for yourself. And there's another situation where you need a father in the house. I would go home and cry to my father. Well, not cry, because I didn't cry much in front of him, but tell him what happened. He'd say, pick up a big stick and hit him. Well, I was pissed off because he didn't take up for me, but eventually what happened was this. I got tired of it and I stood up for myself, and guess what? They stopped. Simple as that. But a mother wants to go up to school, complain to the officials, and that's all she knows to do. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but it doesn't work. That bully, 99% of the time, will not stop until the person being bullied stands up for himself. And it doesn't always have to end in physical violence. Sometimes just the fact that if he stands up, in one of my cases, that's what happened. This guy used to take my lunch money. He was an African American. We get along good now, but and I finally got enough of it one day in class, and I got up out of my seat and walked over to the other side of the classroom. He was saying something to me like, I'm going to get your money, or I don't know what it was. And I walked over there, and I was about ready to hit him, or I confronted him, and the teacher stopped me. And after that, he never bothered me again because he saw I had enough and I was willing to stand up for myself. And like I said, we get along nowadays. We don't hang out, but when I see him, we talk to each other. And I respect that man, even though he did that to me. I don't think anybody, any boy anyway, any man can say they've never bullied someone or intimidated them. I mean, if you haven't, you're quite unique. But most of the time we lie to ourselves and say we've never done that. If you can see it in someone else and it just annoys you or you think it's terrible, then probably you've done it somewhere in your life, but you don't want to look at yourself, because people just reflect back to us the part of us that we don't want to see. That's a spiritual, metaphysical principle, if you like. So it's very important for young boys to have some kind of a male role model. If the father is not in the home for whatever reason or not, then as a mother, you need to find him or get him connected with some kind of male mentorship, because he needs that as a boy. If you love your son, give this to him. Give him the gift of a male role model. Otherwise, he's going to get one that you don't like. I know a lot of young boys are looking up to Andrew Tate, and a lot of people don't like that. Well, if you don't like that, then he's seeking a role male model. If you don't like that, then find him a role male model that you do approve of. They can teach him how to be a strong, centered man who doesn't need the approval of a woman, doesn't need your approval. Now, it doesn't mean he shouldn't follow your rules in the house. He should. And a male role model, a good one, will teach him that he should, because that's your home. And he needs to follow the rules of the house. But he doesn't need to be seeking women's approval all his life, because women are emotional, their minds change, and he will never find him a good woman if he's always out there supplicating to women. What will happen to him is he will be taken advantage of, he will be abused, he will be hurt and heartbroken. And you don't want that for your son, do you? Well, then find him a good, healthy role model. Because he'll pick one up off of social media, or he'll find someone in the streets, a gang member, an alcoholic, a drug addict. He's looking for someone to guide him. And you can't do it, mama. You just can't do it. Not as well as a man can. No more than my daughter, no more than I can. My daughter needs a woman here. There's not one here. I cannot give her what a woman could. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I can. I can raise my kids financially and give them what a father gives, but I cannot give them what a mother can give them, as I said when I started the video. And I'm not going to lie to myself and tell myself that I can. So you might want to think about that. What's best for your child instead of what's best for you? And I need to think of the same thing. All right, that's it. If you'd like to get my help personally, marksinspiration.com is my website. You can contact me through there and find out more about me there, or you can email me directly at marksinspirationalguidance@gmail.com. Both of those links will be in the description. Take care, have a wonderful day, and thank you for my 1,664 subscribers. We are shooting up high.